Hi everybody! I have a quick video here for you about the health of your lumbar spine. That's your low back. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the spine in downward facing dog. This is a pose we do all the time, and we often don't talk about the low back. We don't even know what's happening in our low back. And it's really important to understand what's happening in our spine there. So to begin with, we're going to look at what a normal spine looks like. So most people's spines have a curve here. That's a natural curve. We call that a lumbar curve or lordosis. This part of the back here goes into the body like a back bend, and we want that. Oftentimes in dog pose what we see is with tighter hamstrings, the back tends to flatten, and that's really risky for the lumbar spine. So the way the spine is built is it's a column of bones, and they sit one on top of each other, but there's space between them, and in that space is where our intervertebral discs, the discs that sit between those bones. Those discs act like shock absorbers. They keep our bones from rubbing against each other, and they give space for our spinal cord and help us be safe. So what happens when we flatten our back is those two or three discs start to get squished. The front of the bones get closer together when we flatten our back, and we risk pinching the front of the disc. Also, when the front of the disc gets pinched, it's risky because it's possibly going to eject or push the disc back. And when it goes back, it can rupture or it can pinch a nerve. And that's when you start to have a lot of pain in the low back and numbness and tingling in the legs, and it's just really unhealthy and really not fun. So to avoid those problems, we want to keep these curves in the low back. So this video on dog pose will give you some tips on how to do that and a couple of stretches to help with that as well. Have a great day. Come into down dog, and you can use your hand to feel your own low back to see if you're losing your lordosis. If you are, bend your knees. That takes the strain off your hamstrings and allows you to be mobile in your pelvis. So tip your sitting bones up towards the ceiling. Exaggerate that. But be careful not to just drop your shoulders towards the floor. Keep your shoulders lifted and your sitting bones high as you begin to straighten your legs. If you lose that curve, just keep your knees bent while you work on realigning your spine. If it's easy for you, you just step your feet back a little bit farther and again bend your knees. Arch your low back, tip your pubic bone back between your legs. Keep that lumbar curve as much as you can and then begin to straighten your legs. A couple stretches that will help this will loosen up the hamstrings and the hip flexors. So come into kneeling lunge with your right leg forward and bring your hands to your right knee. Lift your chest up and out of your hips so that your spine gets longer. Then shift your weight back and slide your right foot forward. Straighten your right leg and extend your spine. Try to arch it as much as you can. You can check with your hand to see if it's actually working. And you may find climbing your hands up onto blocks would be helpful. Switch legs. Again, hands come to the front knee. Lift up with your spine so that the front of your right groin stretches. And then rock your hips back over your right knee and slide your left foot forward. Emphasis here is on extending the spine and getting that low back into a healthy curve, not rounding forward. Then step back again and do your downward dog once more and compare. Just see if those two stretches helped you to open up. We bend the knees to give flexibility to the low back, sitting bones high without dropping your belly or your shoulders. Then try to keep that and stretch your legs straight.